Hey guys, so today we have another concept car video and we're going to take a look at the Dodge Sidewinder, a convertible pickup truck with a Viper V10 under the hood. If you're not familiar with my other concept car videos, make sure to check those out on the top right corner as I've done many on the various Mopar vehicles. You can find the video outline on screen, where today we're going in depth on the background info, exterior and interior, performance, future plans, looking at why the Dodge Sidewinder was cancelled, and what other vehicles that it inspired. Everyone knows about the Ram SRT10, but fewer can recall this Sidewinder. So let's get started. The Sidewinder was a concept car first seen at the 1997 SEMA show in Las Vegas. It was officially called the Dodge Dakota Sidewinder, a crazy hybrid combination of a coupe sports car, truck, and convertible. It could also be seen as the futuristic version of a Dodge Dakota. Oh, and it also had the Viper GTS-R V10 engine under the hood. More on all of that in the later sections of the video. The Sidewinder was technically placed within the pickup truck class and was a two-door coupe utility. The name Sidewinder draws the mind to two things. The first is the Sidewinder AIM-9, which was a short-range air-to-air missile that entered service in 1956 with the US Navy, and that was designed to launch from an airborne aircraft and take down an enemy plane. The other meaning would be the Sidewinder horned rattlesnake, which was a venomous serpent that was part of the Viper species that could actually top out at speeds of 18 miles per hour. So that's obviously more appropriate, as the Sidewinder truck does have a lot of Viper to it. So I guess they kind of kept this snake theme here. So now let's look at the exterior a bit more. The Sidewinder was based on a design sketch by Mark Allen at Chrysler, a graduate from Detroit's Center for Creative Studies less than a year and a half prior. The truck rode on a unique chassis built specifically for Dodge by Riley and Scott Cars Inc. They were an American racing team founded in 1990 by Bob Riley and Mark Scott, and they provided chassis for various forms of motorsport, mostly sports car racing. That company would end up getting bought out and then bankrupt in 2001, but the co-founder Bob Riley and his son Bill ended up founding another company, Riley Technologies, and that company is still in business today. Anyways, back to that sketch. Once the chassis was built, the sketches were handed over to metal crafters in Southern California so that they could replicate the design on paper in real life. And they were able to replicate it in 36 weeks. The styling was taken from trucks of the past and had a very free-flowing design, including a bucket-shaped cab. The shape was common to 1920s trucks like the Ford T-Bucket. Trevor Creed, Chrysler's senior vice president of design at the time, said, quote, "From the side, this distinctive curved shape gives the vehicle a muscular jaw look," end quote. It's not for everyone, but it does fit perfectly with the other radical designs from this decade. To achieve that free-flowing design, there were no door handles, big bumpers, or trim pieces anywhere, just a famous Dodge-looking grille. The front end is a perfect combination between a Viper and a Dodge truck, and the bed is reminiscent of a 1950s pickup, small, short, and square. The metal crafter's copy ended up being very close to Allen's design, which he says was meant to be a cartoon of a Dakota. Moving inside, the exterior's painted metal swept through the interior as well. The fabrics and seats were all covered in purple leather, and otherwise the interior is pretty simplistic, basically like an open-air cockpit with one large information cluster on each side and in the center. Instead of traditional plastic or cloth upholstery as found in other vehicles, most of the interior was just painted metal. A really interesting thing Dodge did was make it a bit complex to turn on the engine, because they wanted it to feel like you were doing something special when you turned it on. To start the engine, you have to flip a switch called arm, which then activates the fuel pump, and then you have to press another switch called ignite, which would then start it. The design alone makes the Sidewinder stand out, but the engine under the hood is just as impressive. Unlike the Dakotas, which offered 4, 6, and 8-cylinder engines, the Sidewinder has an 8-liter V10 from a Viper GTS-R, rated at 640 horsepower and 530 pound-feet of torque. The concept was fully functional, and Dodge claimed that it could go 0 to 60 miles per hour in 3.9 seconds with 170 mile per hour top speed. The engine is paired with a rear-wheel drive layout, but the 6-speed manual from the Viper was swapped for a 4-speed automatic transmission taken from a Dodge Ram 1500. Also, the final drive gear ratio was 3.07 to 1. These are some really insane performance numbers that would help the truck almost keep up with the likes of Hellcats, and the relatively light 2,700 pound weight of the truck certainly helped. Many Viper suspension parts were also used here, like a double wishbone front setup and 5-link multi-link in the rear. One thing metal crafters couldn't duplicate was Allen's wheels, as he had drawn up ones with a gargantuan 35-inch diameter. Metal crafters did what they could and went with a staggered setup, 21 by 8 inch in the front with 225/35 R21 tires, and 22 by 11 inches in the rear with 305/35 R22 tires. The Goodyears were custom made, also with a custom flame tread pattern. Beneath the wheels were huge 15-inch disc brakes. The Sidewinder was essentially a futuristic version of a Dodge Dakota convertible, a sportier take on the second-gen Dakota. It obviously had very little in common with the Dakota, arguably more so with the Viper, but it was intended to foreshadow a production vehicle. This wasn't Dodge's first crack at a convertible pickup, as there was a 1989 to 1991 Dakota Sport convertible model. Back then, Chrysler CFO at the time, Jerry York, came up with this oddball convertible idea. Instead of adding more power or off-road toughness like GM was doing, he thought the convertible would be the solution to boost sales. So starting in 1989, Dodge started shipping the regular cab Dakotas to American Sunroof Company, who converted them into convertibles. Dodge would charge a $3,000 US premium, so around $14,425 for a 4x2 and $16,500 for a 4x4. The only problem, Dodge only sold 3,759 of them over the 3 model years, as they sold very poorly, as there really wasn't a huge market for a vehicle like this. Sidewinder designer Mark Allen had similar ideas and wanted to see if he could make his ideas and dreams into a reality, and tried the convertible thing again here with the Sidewinder. So why did the Sidewinder get cancelled? Well, despite all the attention it received on the auto show circuit, just like the Dakota Sport convertible, there really isn't a huge market for extremely fast, performance-oriented convertible trucks. It was never wise to take a Chrysler concept vehicle lightly though. After all, the Plymouth Prowler and Dodge Viper were built in the same way, a unique concept shown off worldwide, mass-produced after overwhelmingly positive public response. The Sidewinder was a radical showstopper that drew in tons of eyeballs, but unfortunately, Dodge never saw it as a real possibility for production, and they could only dedicate so many resources to these types of niche products. Even if it had made it to production, it almost certainly wouldn't have sold many or generated a whole lot of revenue for Chrysler. They just didn't need another limited edition sports car at the time. Despite the Sidewinder never making it, it did sort of inspire 3 other vehicles for the future. Soon after the Sidewinder release, Dodge did put out a 1998 Dakota RT model, the high-performance top-of-the-line trim level. It had a 5.9-liter Magnum V8 with 250 horsepower and 345 pound-feet of torque, but that's a far cry from the Sidewinder. GM would come out with the Chevrolet SSR from 2003 to 2006, but again, no V10 there. 03 and 04 had the 5.3-liter Vortec 5300 V8 with 300 horsepower and a 6-speed Tremec manual or 4-speed automatic transmission, while the 05 and 06 versions got an LS2 V8 with 390 to 400 horsepower. Finally, Dodge did drop the 8.3-liter Viper V10 into the 2004 to 2006 Ram SRT10 with 500 horsepower and 525 pound-feet of torque, with the regular cab able to hit 0 to 60 in 4.9 seconds and the quarter mile in 13.6 seconds. So for some consolation, at least the Sidewinder made it in some form in the end into that Ram SRT10. So that's the end of this video, guys. What did you think of the Dodge Sidewinder? Hope you enjoyed it, and make sure to like and subscribe for more Mopar content, and let me know if you want to see other concept car videos like this one. I'll see you guys in the next video.